Welcome to Lesson Plans and Layovers.
My name is Brian. My students call me B-Dub, so I might refer to myself that way sometimes.
And my name is Abby. My students call me Mrs. Williams, but Abby's good to know.
So today our learning target, to make it schooly, is understanding our why. And so we feel like the first thing we really need to do is talk to you a little bit about who we are, because this is like day one on the channel. So Abby, you want to
Yep.
first?
So we're married. We've been married for just shy of 25 years this summer. And we have two children. Both of them are not so kid-like anymore, 21 and 17. And we have been high school teachers. I teach high school English.
And I teach social studies.
And I've been teaching for 23 years. This is year 24.
This is my 27th year. So we've been in the game for a long time.
That means that we have spent nearly our entire lives in and around a school schedule, either through our jobs or through the fact that we have kids who are in school, or we were in school as kids. This is the only way we have known how to exist, is under a school schedule. So the goal for our channel is to focus on what it's like to have to travel and have vacations around a school schedule.
Because that's crazy, right? Like, and you guys all know that if you're watching either for fun or day one, but especially if you hang with us, we're looking to build that community of people who are like, hey, we get it. We don't have these like crazy schedules where we can vacation whenever we want. It's pretty limited. And unfortunately, during the time that we can travel, it's usually the most expensive. So we feel like it's a good idea to get together. Let's talk this out. Let's hammer some things through. Let us give you some ideas about some of the like hacks that we found. And whether you're a brand new teacher, a veteran, or a parent who has kids in school, all of you guys are going to be helped by this, we hope.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
So to give you a little background, when I was a kid, I traveled, but it was pretty limited to California, because my mom is from California and we're from Michigan, and moved to Michigan for college. So when she had her family, we would constantly be going back to California to visit our grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, and that was our travel, which was awesome. I got to go to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and see the tide pools and all of that fun stuff. But that's where we went. We went to Bellflower every Christmas. And then occasionally we took a different trip. I remember in 8th grade, we went to Disney World for the first time. Not the last, stay tuned. But we did that as a big trip, and that's really the only other vacation that I remember us traveling to. And then we would spend summers on our boat. My dad is a sailor. We have always lived our life with some version of a boat, all of them in various stages of disrepair or needing some kind of tender loving care. But we would spend a lot of time on the boat, and so that was our almost like camping, but we would go to different places. But that was the extent of my travel as a kid.
Mine was, we had a camper when I was a little kid, and so and actually we had a tent for most of my time when I was growing up. Had a camper a little bit later on, but most of the things that we did were camping related. We would go to a couple like camps around locally, and we would throw up the tent and hang out for a week or a long weekend, and that was really the extent of it. But I do remember like so many good memories, like tons of like laughter and like, you know, catching frogs and going fishing and running around and playing in the sand and going to the place that had all the like candy, and we'd go hang out there and go pet horses. It was like those memories for me were outstanding, things that I think about now, and I was blessed to be able to do those. A little bit later on in my life, I had two other brothers. When we became a little older, and this is after Abby and I had met, and in fact we had our first child. The first time our family, I feel like, really went on vacation, that was a little bit of a stretch, we went to Mexico. And I remember this trip in particular for a few reasons, but one of the things that I remember, and I talk to my students about this sometimes too, if you have not employed what I'm about to say, you should try it. It's kind of a neat thing. But there was this like peninsula that jetted out into the water, and it was like gorgeous, right? Like all this blue water, and there was people that were parasailing and people that were jet skiing and people that were fishing. And we wanted to go out in this peninsula, but the only way you could is if you bought like a drink from like the local bar. So my brother Jeff, he bought us, my dad and him and I bought us beer, and we headed out to the end of the peninsula. And I remember like being there and in the wind and the sun and all of the people, and being with my dad and at least one of my two brothers on this peninsula. And I remember for one of the first times in my life, I don't know what struck me, but I remember like, take a picture of this in your head, Brian. And I did. And it still brings back really cool memories now. But this was kind of one of the first times in my life. This trip for both of us was one of the first times that we really started to think about travel differently. In fact, we budgeted for it. Even when we were young, we spent like about 500, or we usually saved about $500 a month for travel. This was like pre-kids. And so we just made it a priority. And I don't know what hit us. Do you remember anything that made us decide why we were going to make travel a significant part, or just something we talked about maybe?
I think we just both, even in our limited experience, understood the value of going places that are outside of what we know every day. And so our philosophy that kind of shifted, and we not shifted, but it grew, and we understood that we need to prioritize being able to go, even if it's small goes. We needed to be able to prioritize that, which is what we still do now. Like Brian said, we have made that our priority, and we budget for that. And what we're going to try to help you understand is how we've managed that game a little bit. But as we had our own children, and they were growing up, and we were wanting to give them experiences even more so than the ones we were given, we just made that a priority. We spent a lot of time at Disney World with our kids as they were younger. Our best friends are like Disney people, lots of cast member connection, and we just spent a lot of time at Disney World and had great memories there. We've also gone on several cruises. We've done some trips out west to national parks. We've gone to New York City, Washington, D.C. We've tried to do a lot of things. We have not done, outside of our cruises, haven't done a ton internationally, but we want to, and we're going to, starting this summer.
It's one of the reasons that we started playing this Points and Miles game, was to do more international stuff. So we'll talk about this later on, but we're going to be in Europe for almost a month this summer to celebrate our anniversary. We understand, and I think you guys do too, that travel just isn't about vacations, but one of the things that we learned is that we felt like it builds empathy, perspective, understanding, and these are all qualities that as teachers we want to bring back to the classroom, but we also want to ensure that our children understand these things too. So getting out of your bubble and experiencing life, even if it's like, inside of country, it still introduces you to new populations and people.
But we understand that as teachers, or as families who might have kids within the school schedule, that our vacation times, our breaks, are peak season.
Right.
Every time we need to go somewhere, it's when everybody else can,
right.
Which means everything costs more and availability might be different, and it just makes the game harder. We can't play it like anybody else.
Right. And so that's why we created this channel, to bring us to you and be able to experience, hopefully be able to chat with you about some of your experiences. And if you're a teacher, or if you're a parent with kids, we all kind of are wrapped up in this same idea that we know that there's financial stressors that impact life, but we still want to be able to make those memories, because we know what it does for our head and for our heart, and as well as for the head and the heart of the people that we care about most, our children, either in classroom, and how we can impact them, or our own kids.
So coming up in our next several lessons, we will give you a little background on the ways that we've been able to manage dealing with this schedule. Brian knows a whole lot about points and miles, and we say that when he goes into something, he goes and he's gone.
Yes.
So he wants to tell you what he knows. And so that will be what our lessons will be about as we continue forward. We might also take you on some field trips.
Yes, aka vacations, but we're going to call them
Vacations
field
with us.
trips because, you know,
Starting
teachers.
with our upcoming spring break to
Disney
Disney
which
World.
is kind of interesting. We'll talk about all that stuff later on, but I know that it's like on everybody's list to do, like not everybody, but many people's list to do. If you have a family, like we have to go there at least once or twice, and then some people are hooked and they go a lot. But there's so many tips and tricks, especially if you're a first timer. We also have created a website called lessonplansandlayovers.com, which is going to be linked here, so you guys can take a peek at that. And so those are, and in addition to that, when you're able to access that website, we have a list. I've created a list of several different travel documents that Abby edited, because she's the English teacher in the family, to give you for free that are going to help you with all sorts of things. So the website's a really cool resource. You can learn a little bit more about us, but there's going to be all sorts of free documents there, as well as links to our various social media and stuff that we're going to be able to create.
But more lessons on those docs are coming.
Up and coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're excited, nervous,
really nervous,
not sure where
yeah.
this will go, but if nothing else, it's a place where we can collect our memories.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking this journey with us. Wherever you're headed next, in your classroom, in your career, in your life, we hope that you always ask questions, that you stay curious, and you lead with empathy, and travel well.
Until next time. Video 1 done.